So this is Jaguar Wright shedding a little light on what happened with the casinos and Gladys Knight. Don't know how true it is, so this is all alleged.
True story. You want to know how they got Gladys Knight show down there?
Please.
Gladys never wanted to do a Vegas show. She had no reason to. She's Gladys Knight. Want to know why she had to go back to work? Her husband. The very man that gave Aaliyah over to Robert Kelly. Barry Hankerson. Ran through all her cash, up everything. She went on tour, came home to realize she was about to lose everything, even that chicken and waffles restaurant in Atlanta. What a lot of people don't know about Gladys Knight is that she's a card player. She's a good one. She can play poker with the boys. Her, Anita Baker, they mean with them cards. She almost earned it back. She needed, what was it, 1.7 million. She had almost made it to 2, and then she cracked 2, and then they turned it on and they took it all back. They came and they walked her into the back cage and they offered her the show because she went from almost breaking even on her debts that she came there to win to owing them $6 million in 2 days.
Damn. Okay.
So the deal that they made with her was that she would come and do a show. The first year, Gladys Knight didn't even get paid. Bubba got paid and the other players in the show, but Gladys didn't get a salary. She was able to shop for free at the cachet shop. And she had her suite. All of her meals and everything was taken care of, but they didn't pay her a dime, not for that first year. And then it was sold out, if you remember. Gladys' show in Vegas was sold out for quite some time, for a couple of years. So she stayed so she could actually earn. But that first year was free. She had to pay that debt.
Wow.
True story.
So guys, I don't know how true the story is, but Jaguar seems to be getting her information from the back channels, because I tried looking this information up on the web, you know, your Wikipedia and all that, but this information is not anywhere that I can find on the boob tube on social media. So somebody must have been feeding her this information. Anyway, this was an interview when she was on Real Life Productions. That's where this interview came from.
According to Wikipedia, in the late 1980s, after losing $60,000 in one night at the Baccarat table, she joined Gamblers Anonymous, which helped her quit the habit.
As you come on to the page, kindly hit the like bell and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so as yet. And don't forget to put on the notification bell so you can be notified when I drop the next video. Thank you.
Knight struggled mightily with a gambling addiction for over a decade. Just when it seemed that she would become a cautionary tale, however, she sought and received help for her gambling problem, and emerged victorious. Astonishingly, the band that would go on to make history, Gladys Knight and the Pips, was founded when its leading lady was only 10 years old. The setting was a family birthday party. When the record player malfunctioned, little Gladys, along with her brother, sister, and 2 cousins, took over the evening's musical responsibilities. Shortly thereafter, the band, the Pips, was formed, which was later redubbed Gladys Knight and the Pips, to reflect her frontwoman status. She ultimately achieved massive success, both as a solo artist and as a member of the band, which continued to consist of herself, her brother, and 2 cousins. It's all in the family. Hers was a career that was defined by longevity, flexibility, and some darn good music. After signing with the now universally worshipped Motown Records in 1966, Gladys Knight and the Pips wasted no time in soaring to the top of the music scene. Their first major hit, a Billboard #1 on the R&B charts, was the original recording of I Heard It Through the Grapevine. They scored another #1 in 1970 with If I Were Your Woman, and perhaps their biggest success of all in 1973 with Midnight Train to Georgia. The group moved from Motown to a better deal with Buddha Records in 1973, then went to Columbia Records in 1980. In this crazy world of online casino gambling, every player has a unique story. But few can rival that of Gladys Knight. One of the great soul singers of all time, she retired with 7 Grammy Awards to her name, to go along with 2 #1 Billboard Hot 100 singles, 11 #1 R&B singles, 6 #1 R&B albums, and induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's a jackpot of a career right there. And perhaps best of all, she earned the title, Empress of Soul, in the process. Addiction. Knight was born in Atlanta, which was then a hotbed of activity both legal and extra-legal, though it's now a dead zone for gamblers, best known as the setting for The Walking Dead, but her career really took off after she had relocated to the Grand Casino town of Detroit, Michigan. A state that remains at the forefront of legal gambling in America to this day. Perhaps it was because of these two cities' emphasis on living the high life, or perhaps it was just coincidence, but when a fellow musician introduced her to blackjack, it was love at first sight. As she later wrote in her 1997 autobiography, the gambling addiction set in slowly. Amidst the wild times of life on the road, the casino became a kind of safe space. The pit bosses and dealers became my family. I felt protected. I played behind red velvet ropes that protected me from autograph seekers, thieves, and scam artists. They brought food and drinks right to me, at no charge. To be sure, not every player can boast of such special treatment. Still, before she knew it, Knight was spending all kinds of time and money at the casino table, mostly favoring blackjack and baccarat. For most gamblers who get in over their heads, celebrity or not, it's the loss of money that motivates the sudden need to change course. For Knight, though, the loss of time was more important. More specifically, the time she was spending at the casino was interfering with her life as a mother. One morning in the 1980s, she woke up late after a long night of drinking and playing to realize she'd neglected to take her son to school. That incident, coupled with two separate single nights where she sustained massive losses at the tables, of $45,000 and $60,000, respectively, convinced her to seek help. She started attending Gamblers Anonymous meetings, and was able to quit the habit without further damage to her family or her finances. When it comes down to it, everyone knows that celebrities don't have the same problems as ordinary people do. Nevertheless, it can be fun and instructive to watch and learn from what the rich and famous get up to. In the case of Ms. Gladys Knight, it's almost refreshing to see how a person can be drawn into the world of casino gambling, slowly and deeply, come close to suffering greatly as their play becomes an addiction, only to be able to stop playing entirely before her life suffered more serious damage. Even those of us who don't have any Grammy Awards or Billboard #1 hits run the risk of meeting the same fate. Gamblers, especially those who take our play seriously, need to keep a close eye on things to make sure that the pastime doesn't become a bad habit, or worse yet, a full-blown addiction. Still, it's good to know that when help is out there for those who need it, and that it can be effective. Gladys Knight says her gambling compulsion has gotten so bad at times that she's spent more than $20,000 on a single hand. You're numb at that time to what money is, the recovering high roller confesses to interviewer, you want to bet. Especially playing with those little chips. When you're clicking those chips, you're not thinking dollars. Knight, who rose to fame with backup singers The Pips on their hit collaboration, Midnight Train to Georgia, says she first realized she had a serious problem when gambling in the casino began to take precedent over picking up her son from school. Eventually, she found herself in the casino plunking down chips around the clock. I used to get up at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning after everybody's sleeping and go to the casino, says the longtime Las Vegas resident. And when my mom realized that I was sick, she used to just cry. It was after one particularly big gambling spree that Knight, feeling nauseous and shaken, went directly from the casino to a pay phone and contacted Gamblers Anonymous. I told them who I was and I said, I'm sick and I need help. And my sponsor at the time, she didn't ask me no questions. She said, where are you? And I told her where I was. She said, you stay right there. I'm coming to get you.
Gladys Knight's gambling addiction misses important events, including her daughter's wedding. Gladys Knight, the lead singer of the R&B group Gladys Knight and Amp the Pips, has won numerous awards. Knight's obsession began with blackjack after winning a large sum of money in a casino. She has been in recovery since the early 2000s and has spoken out about her addiction to help others. Knight lost up to $60,000 in one night playing baccarat and borrowed money from friends and family to cover her debts. Her addiction caused her to miss important events, including her daughter's wedding.
Winning is how they get you, she said. Because you think you'll win everything, and you won't. I had gotten $2,000. And within 30 minutes, I had won 60 grand. And I sat right at that table and gave every dime of it back. And I just got sick at the table. Knight said that she was able to stop gambling with the help of Gamblers Anonymous, whom she had called right after leaving the card table. The lady on the phone said, "Where are you? We'll come get you." That was about 15, 20 years ago. And I went to one meeting. That was all I had to go to. Gladys Maria Knight, born May 28, 1944, known as the Empress of Soul, is an American singer. A 10-time Grammy Award winner, Knight recorded hits through the 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s with her family group Gladys Knight and the Pips, which included her brother Merrill, Bubba, Knight and cousins William Guest and Edward Patton. What relation was Gladys Knight to Aaliyah? Gladys Knight, best known for various hits with her group The Pips, is Aaliyah's aunt through her marriage to Aaliyah's uncle, Barry Hankerson. Gladys Maria Knight, born May 28, 1944, known as the Empress of Soul, is an American singer. A 10-time Grammy Award winner, Knight recorded hits through the 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s with her family group Gladys Knight and the Pips, which included her brother Merrill, Bubba, Knight and cousins William Guest and Edward Patton. Knight has recorded 2 #1 Billboard Hot 100 singles, Midnight Train to Georgia, and That's What Friends Are For, which she did with Dionne Warwick, Sir Elton John and Stevie Wonder, 11 #1 R&B singles and 6 #1 R&B albums. She has won 7 Grammy Awards, 4 as a solo artist and 3 with the Pips, and is an inductee into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Vocal Group Hall of Fame along with the Pips. 2 of her songs, I Heard It Through the Grapevine, and Midnight Train to Georgia, were inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame for historical, artistic and significant value. She also recorded the theme song for the 1989 James Bond film License to Kill. Rolling Stone magazine ranked Knight among the 100 greatest singers of all time. She is also a recipient of the National Medal of Arts and Kennedy Center honors. Gladys Knight was born in Atlanta, Georgia, on May 28, 1944, to Sarah Elizabeth Nay Woods, a nurse's aide, and Merrill Woodlow Knight Sr., a postal worker. Her parents were members of both the church choir and a local choir group. She has a sister, Brenda, and 2 brothers, Merrill, Bubba, Jr. and David, Billy. Knight was raised Baptist and began singing gospel music at age 4 at the Mount Moriah Baptist Church in Atlanta. At the age of 8, she won Ted Mack's The Original Amateur Hour TV show contest singing Nat King Cole's Too Young. Shortly after, Knight along with her brother Bubba, sister Brenda, and cousins Eleanor and William Guest performed together during Bubba's 10th birthday party after a record player malfunctioned. The quintet later formed a group at the encouragement of Knight's mother. The group settled on the name The Pips, inspired by the nickname of their cousin and manager, James "Pip" Woods. The Pips performed at church, talent shows, and clubs opening for popular acts, then signed with Brunswick Records in 1957 and began releasing singles. After a few lineup changes, the group debuted their first album in 1960 when Knight was just 16. By then, she had recorded 5 songs and released her first hit single, Every Beat of My Heart. The group's success was later halted by Knight's departure to start a family with husband and musician Jimmy Newman, resuming soon after when she returned. Knight attended the historic Booker T. Washington High School in Atlanta, later transferring and graduating from Archer High School. Gladys Knight and the Pips joined the Motown Records roster in 1966 with only 3 hits to their credit, Every Beat of My Heart, Giving Up, and Letter Full of Tears. Although initially regarded as a second-string act by the label, scored several major hit singles, including I Heard It Through the Grapevine, #1 in 1967, released later by Marvin Gaye, The Nitty Gritty, 1969 Friendship Train, 1969 If I Were Your Woman, 1970 I Don't Want to Do Wrong, 1971 the Grammy Award-winning Neither One of Us Wants to Be the First to Say Goodbye, 1972, and Daddy Could Swear I Declared, 1973. In their early Motown career, Gladys Knight and the Pips toured as the opening act for Diana Ross and the Supremes. Gladys Knight stated in her memoirs that Ross kicked her off the tour because the audience's reception to Knight's soulful performance overshadowed her. Berry Gordy later told Knight that she was giving his act a hard time. The act left Motown for a better deal with Buddha Records in 1973, and achieved even greater mainstream success that year with hits such as the Grammy-winning I've Got to Use My Imagination, The Way We Were, Try to Remember, and Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me. In the summer of 1974, Knight and the Pips recorded the soundtrack to the film Claudine with producer Curtis Mayfield, which included the songs On and On, The Makings of You, and Make Yours a Happy Home. The act was particularly successful in Europe, and especially the United Kingdom. A number of the Buddha singles became hits in the UK several years after their release in the US. For example, Midnight Train to Georgia, hit the top 5 of the UK singles chart in the summer of 1976, a full 3 years after its success in the US. Knight and the Pips continued to have hits until the late 1970s, when they were forced to record separately due to legal issues, resulting in Knight's first solo LP recordings, Miss Gladys Knight 1978 on Buddha and Gladys Knight 1979 on Columbia Records. After divorcing James Newman II in 1973, Knight married Barry Hankerson, then Detroit Mayor Coleman Young's executive aide. Knight and Hankerson remained married for 4 years, during which time they had a son, Shenga Ali. Hankerson and Knight became embroiled in a heated custody battle over Shenga Ali. In 1980, Johnny Mathis invited Knight to record 2 duets, When a Child is Born, previously a hit for Mathis, and The Lord's Prayer. Signing with Columbia Records in 1980 and restored to its familiar quartet form, Gladys Knight and the Pips began releasing new material. The act enlisted former Motown producers Nicholas Ashford and Valerie Simpson for their first 2 albums, About Love 1980, which included the hit, Landlord, and Touch 1981. In 1983, Gladys Knight and the Pips scored again with the hit, Save the Overtime for Me. The song, under the artistic direction of Leon Silvers III, known for collaborating on Shalimar hits, was done in a soulful boogie style. The single was released from their LP, Visions, and reached number 66 on the Hot 100, but was more successful on the R&B, where it hit number 1 for a single week in mid-1983. The single was the first time the group hit number 1 on the R&B chart since 1974. The video accompanying the song became among the earliest R&B videos to incorporate elements of hip-hop culture. The album also included the R&B hit, You're Number 1 in My Book. In 1987, Knight decided to pursue a solo career, and she and the Pips recorded their final LP together, All Our Love 1987 for MCA Records. Its infectious lead single, Love Overboard, was a number 1 R&B hit and won another Grammy for the act as well. After a successful 1988 tour, the Pips retired and Knight began her solo career. Gladys Knight and the Pips were inducted into the Georgia Music Hall of Fame in 1989, into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1996 and the Vocal Group Hall of Fame in 2001. While still with the Pips, Gladys Knight joined with Dionne Warwick, Stevie Wonder, and Elton John on the 1985 AIDS benefit single, That's What Friends Are For, a triple number 1 mega hit, which won a Grammy for Best Pop Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal. Knight shared a stage with Dionne Warwick and Patti LaBelle for the 1986 HBO special Sisters in the Name of Love, which she co-executive produced and received 3 ACE Awards for performance in a music special, as well as nominations for Best Music Special and Costume Design in 1987. On March 27, 1988, Knight performed a rendition of America the Beautiful at WrestleMania 4 in Atlantic City, NJ. In 1989, she recorded License to Kill, the title track for James Bond film of the same name, a top 10 hit in the UK and Germany. Knight released her third and most successful solo LP, Good Woman, on MCA in 1991, which hit number 1 on the R&B album chart, featured the number 2 R&B hit, Men, and reached number 45 on the main Billboard album chart, her all-time highest showing. The album also featured Superwoman, written by Babyface and featuring Dionne Warwick and Patti LaBelle. The track was nominated for a Grammy. Knight and LaBelle collaborated the same year on I Don't Do Duets for LaBelle's album Burnin'. Also in 1991, Knight performed the national anthem at Game 1 of the World Series. Her fourth solo album, Just For You, went gold and was nominated for the 1995 Grammy Award for Best R&B Album. The fifth solo album, At Last, earned her first solo Grammy Award for Best Traditional R&B Album in 2000. Knight created and directs the Mormon-themed choir Saints Unified Voices. SUV has released a Grammy Award-winning CD titled One Voice, and occasionally performs at LDS church firesides. In April 2004, Knight co-headlined the VH1's benefit concert Divas Live 2004 alongside Ashanti, Cyndi Lauper, Jessica Simpson, Joss Stone, Debbie Harry, and Patti LaBelle, in support of the Save the Music Foundation. In 2005, a duet between Knight and Ray Charles of You Were There was released on Charles's duets album Genius and Friends. In the spring of 2008, Knight appeared alongside Chaka Khan, Patti LaBelle and Diana Ross at the Divas with Heart concert in aid of cardiac research at New York's Radio City Hall. Also in 2008, Gladys, Jack Black, Robert Downey Jr. and Ben Stiller performed on American Idol to raise money for charity. In 2009, Knight sang His Eye is on the Sparrow and The Lord's Prayer at the funeral service for Michael Jackson. In September 2011, a new, updated recording of Shirley Bassey's 1960s classic, I Who Have Nothing, was released on iTunes and Amazon. In 2013, Knight recorded the Lenny Kravitz-written and produced song, You and I Ain't Nothin' No More, for the soundtrack from Lee Daniels' motion picture The Butler. The song was added to the movie's soundtrack of older songs with various artists so the producers could nominate it for Best Song from a Motion Picture category at the Academy Awards. In a 2014 interview, she expressed a hope that women would stand up and stop selling sex in the music entertainment industry. She commented that the growing trend saddened her heart and that she had been taught to dress respectfully for her audiences, not take it off, put it on. Knight is ranked number 18 on VH1 Network's list of the 100 greatest women of rock. In 2019, Knight accepted an invitation to sing the national anthem at Super Bowl 53. She faced criticism for agreeing to perform due to the alleged blacklisting of Colin Kaepernick by the National Football League after he began protesting police brutality during pre-game anthem ceremonies. Criticism was expressed against the halftime show performers, Maroon 5, Travis Scott, and Big Boy. Knight defended her decision to sing, claiming to understand Kaepernick's reasons for protesting but criticizing him for kneeling during the national anthem. In 2019, Knight was invited to play at the 100th anniversary of Delaware State Fair, located in Harrington, Delaware. In 2022, Knight received Kennedy Center honors, presented by U.S. President Joe Biden. She also headlined a U.S. Africa Leaders Summit dinner at the White House. In October 2009, Knight started her farewell tour of the United Kingdom, which featured Tito Jackson as her supporting act and special appearances by Dionne Warwick. The UK farewell tour featured higher production values than previous Gladys Knight, A Mic and a Light appearances by Knight in the UK. A glossy program was available and the show featured pre-produced animation on large on-stage screens. The tour was promoted by an appearance on the TV program Later, with Jules Holland where Knight performed If I Were Your Woman and Help Me Make It Through the Night. In spite of her farewell, Knight started touring the UK again a few years later, playing gigs in Scotland and England in 2015. A farewell tour of Australia and New Zealand was announced for March 2024. In 1976, Knight made her acting debut as the lead in the film Pipe Dreams, for which she was nominated for a Golden Globe Award for New Star of the Year, Actress. In 2003, she had a small role in the movie Hollywood Homicide, which starred Harrison Ford and Josh Hartnett. In 2009, Knight was featured in Tyler Perry's I Can Do Bad All by Myself, the film version of a play he had dramatized, and performed her song, The Need to Be, from the 1974 album I Feel a Song. In 1975, Knight starred in a variety show, The Gladys Knight and the Pips Show, which was canceled after 4 episodes. She also guest-starred on several TV series throughout the 1980s and 1990s, appearing on Benson, The Jeffersons, A Different World, Living Single, The Jamie Foxx Show, and New York Undercover. In 1985, she co-starred on the CBS sitcom Charlie and Company, alongside comedian Flip Wilson, which lasted for 1 season. In April 2005, she portrayed a singer in an episode of Jag. In April 2009, she made a special guest appearance and performed a song on Tyler Perry's House of Pain. Knight has also made a number of cameo appearances, including on Las Vegas and 30 Rock. In 2012, she began a recurring role in the syndicated sitcom The First Family. In 2012, Knight competed on season 14 of Dancing with the Stars, partnered with Tristan McManus. They were eliminated on April 24 after losing a dance duel to Disney Channel star Roshan Fegan and partner Chelsea Hightower, ironically on the show's Motown Week. In 2017, she appeared as herself in the musical drama TV series Star. In 2018, she played Ella Grover, mother of Captain Lou Grover, in the Lele Pu Na Manu Like, Birds of a Feather episode of Hawaii Five-0, which first aired on November 16, 2018. In February 2019, she was revealed to have competed as B on the first season of The Masked Singer, in which she placed 3rd. She performed Chandelier, Locked Out of Heaven, Wrecking Ball, What's Love Got to Do with It, You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, and I Can't Make You Love Me. She finished behind Donny Osmond as Peacock and T-Pain as Monster. Knight's son Shenga Henkerson owns a chain of chicken and waffles restaurants based in Atlanta, bearing her name. Gladys Knight and Ron Winans Chicken and Waffles opened 3 locations in the Atlanta area. One location was featured on the Travel Channel original series Man vs. Food. In June 2016, authorities in Georgia raided 2 of the restaurants and its headquarters. In 2016, WSB-TV reported that Hankerson was at the center of an investigation involving unpaid taxes, penalties and interest. Georgia Department of Revenue Special Investigations Chief Jeff Mitchell told the station that the investigation solely involved Hankerson and not Knight. In 1960, Knight married Atlanta musician and high school sweetheart James, Jimmy, Newman. The couple had a miscarriage and went on to have 2 children. Their son, James, Jimmy, Gaston Newman III, was born in 1962, and their daughter, Kenya Maria Newman, was born in 1963. In the early 1960s, Knight's family and the Pips moved to Detroit. The family lived in Sherwood Forest, an upscale neighborhood on Detroit's west side. Knight retired from the road to raise their children while the Pips toured on their own, later returning with Newman as the group's musical director. Newman later became addicted to drugs and left the family when Knight was 20. They remained married for over 12 years and were separated for 7 years until their divorce in 1973. Newman died a few years later. In 1974, Knight married Barry Hankerson, founder of Blackground Records, in Detroit. The couple had a son, Shenga Ali Hankerson, born on August 1, 1976. Around 1977, they relocated to Atlanta. Their marriage ended in 1979 with a prolonged custody battle over their son. Knight spent over $1 million searching for her son after he was kidnapped, and in 1995, Knight married motivational speaker Les Brown, divorcing in 1997. Knight was raised a Baptist, later was a Catholic, and became a Mormon in 1997 when she was baptized into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, inspired by her daughter and son who had left Catholicism to join. She had occasionally teased LDS President Gordon B. Hinckley, saying they needed to inject some pep into their music. He agreed, which resulted in the founding of the Saints Unified Voices Gospel Choir directed by Knight. In 2018, Knight led the B1 choir at the B1 event in Salt Lake City, Utah. Knight has an honorary doctorate from Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina. Knight's son Jimmy Newman III managed her career through his Newman Management Inc. until his death from heart failure on July 10, 1999, at age 36. Newman was survived by his wife, Micheline, daughters Nastasia and Gabrielle, and sons Rishon, Stephen, and Sterling. Following his death, her daughter Kenya Jackson took over management. Knight married William McDowell in 2001. They have 17 grandchildren and 10 great-grandchildren between them. Knight and McDowell reside in Fairview, North Carolina, near where they own a community center, the former Reynolds High School in Canton attended by McDowell. In 2017, Knight helped raise $400,000 for the Children's Learning Centers of Fairfield County. The event was held at the Palace Theater and was co-hosted by Carol Ann Riddell and Alan Coulter. Knight had a gambling addiction that lasted more than a decade. In the late 1980s, after losing $60,000 in one night at the baccarat table, she joined Gamblers Anonymous, which helped her quit the habit. In 1996, Gladys Knight and the Pips were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. 1 year before, Knight had received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. In 2007, Knight received the Society of Singers Ella Award, at which time she was declared the Empress of Soul. She is listed on Rolling Stone's list of the greatest singers of all time. In 2021, Knight received the National Medal of Arts. And, in 2022, Knight received a Kennedy Center honor. In 2023, Knight received the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award.
As you leave the page, don't forget to hit the like bell and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so as yet. Thank you for watching.